Let me bring in my think tank tonight. The law ladies are with us. Ashley McMahon, Jasmine Barber, and Holly Waltman. Welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you all here. And for folks at home, just so you know, they all practice together. I wasn't just saying the law ladies. That's who they are, the law ladies. So let's start here. Will the jury buy that she's not bought and paid for by the Adelsons?
I think money talks and empty promises from the government on some sort of plea deal walks in this case. She's kept her story consistent from the very beginning. She's been incarcerated and away from her children
for
3 years.
And the jury knows that.
Yes, they do. I think the jury's going to buy it.
Juries, in my experience, do not like holes in cases. And so if this is a murder for hire and the state has said this is how this came together and we don't even have anyone that did the hiring, juries don't like that. And that can be problematic. And another big thing that we're not talking about right now yet is Rivera, the person that testified and did implicate her. And so how does his testimony stack up to hers, and who will they find credible? I think she came out a lot better than he came across during his testimony earlier.
But I think the state can explain it away. Everybody has a right to a trial, and it doesn't mean that they all have to have a trial at the same time. And so I think if the state does a good job of explaining why certain defendants aren't in front of you, then I think a jury could buy why the Adelsons are not in front of them today.
But does the jury believe, will they believe that she wasn't paid? That she's not doing this to help the Adelsons and they have all this money? This guy's driving around Lamborghinis, right?
I think we've got an amazing argument as defense attorneys for this jury. I mean, she's sympathetic, okay? How can you justify a mother being away from her children for 3 years when
she's not just a mother, she's a tax cheat, right?
Right. We're all a lot of
Former bottle
things.
girl
We're
from the
all a lot
club.
of things.
Right?
Hey. I mean, if we judged all of our clients, by every little time that they jaywalked, then, we'd never get any not guilty verdicts in court, right? But I think she came off as sympathetic, and I think logically it makes sense. Why would a mother stay away from her children this long if all she had to do was throw the Adelsons under the bus?
Well, maybe someone's promised to take care of them? No? Jury's not going to think that?
I don't know that I love that argument. And to piggyback on what Jasmine just said, if that's what the state was going to do, if they came out of the gate and said, look, not every piece of this puzzle is here today, and that's not what you're to be concerned about, they should have done it in opening, and they didn't. And so they either missed that opportunity, or this was not something that they anticipated happening. And as a former prosecutor, you always have to anticipate, what if one of these defendants takes the stand and tells their version?
What's the overall impact now of her testimony in the case or the potential case against the Adelsons? Now that the one that they say put the whole thing together, because she's the one who's mixed up with Sigfredo. She has the relationship. She has babies with him. She's the one who knows Luis Rivera. Her man is great friends with Luis Rivera. She's the one who's admitted to tax fraud. She's the one who's admitted to defrauding the government, right? And she's the one doing all these things on this side, but now she's testified this way. Does this destroy the case, perhaps, against...
And don't forget, she dated one of the Adelsons.
Charlie.
Right.
Also dated the Adelsons. So
she is the spoke in the middle of this wheel.
It's one heck of a coincidence.
She's got a physical relationship with Adelson, a physical relationship with Garcia. Garcia is friends with Rivera. Rivera has admitted being there, at least. He doesn't admit to shooting the gun. That's another story for another day. But he admits being there at the time of this hit.
But now we've got consistent statements from her throughout, and now we have sworn testimony in court.
Consistently vague, though, right? Is she a little vague?
It's
she can't
always
remember.
vague. If I'm a defense attorney, I'm telling her not to.
She's making all this cash as a bottle girl. She's got 13 girls working for her, but not one of them has made their way into court to testify about all this money they were making.
Are you trying to imply that
thousands and thousands of dollars she was making as a bottle girl?
So she's some sort of bottle madam in your eyes, Vinnie?
Well, that's what she said. That's what she said. She had 13 girls working for her. We're making all this money because she's got to explain a $13,000 cash deposit just after the murder.
I don't think she said anything in her testimony that if the state of Florida wants to bring a case against the Adelsons, that they're going to be able to use to impeach her. And that's the good part about being vague.
The benefit of being
vague. They can't pin her
She's
down
very
on
vague.
anything.
Very
Yes.
vague about the details of the money. Oh, yeah. And then she said she was working for Adelson. And, yeah, kind of, he had some rental properties. What did you do? He's got properties. I mean,
I don't think a jury is buying
Can a
that
jury put
at
two
all.
and two together?
Maybe not in a subsequent case that the state of Florida is going to
Okay,
bring
but in this
against
one,
them.
and this one,
In this one, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to predict it. Right?
we don't have to predict it, but you've seen a lot of trials, and you see what juries will buy and what they won't buy. I mean, I'm listening to her, and I understand her testimony, and it's not easy to take the stand. I understand that. You withstand the cross-examination. But her explanation of the phone calls.
I think this is also.
I was speaking in code because the kids were there.
No, I do speak in code when children are around, and I don't want them to know what I'm saying. But also, this is problematic on many levels because of the timing, not just the code. The code by itself is not that problematic, but it's the timing of the code, it's the timing of the deposit.
And who is she speaking in code with?
And who is she speaking with? Yes.
Her co-conspirators. That's who she's talking in code with. That's the only person you can, or the only people you can use a code with.
Devil's advocate. We're all looking at this as attorneys. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not looking at this as jurors that are sitting there. And I'm sorry if I'm a juror and I'm not looking at this from an emotional standpoint. My question at the end of the day is, why would this woman not throw some rich guy under the bus in order to save her
All
own
right,
butt?
let me do a little, get the wide shot in this if you can. I'm going to do a little demonstration. We have three people here, right? This is Magbanua, right? She's here. So she's the one in the middle. You got the Adelsons here, and you have the admitted hitman here. I'm not saying Garcia, but Rivera. So you got Rivera here, admits he did it. The Adelsons aren't in court, so they're not there to defend themselves. They're the ones who want the hit done, okay? So at this point, is there a way that the jury can believe that she's out of it and somehow these people are together?
I don't think so. Like, not in a million years. It's too many coincidences coming together to say that they have these independent ties without Katie Magbanua being in the middle of it.
I disagree. I think that there is enough there.
Now, how do the Adelsons get in contact with Rivera? How is that made?
No, maybe they met through her, but she didn't coordinate
Maybe she
anything.
didn't do
Maybe
this.
it was a casual introduction at one of
Cocktail
I don't know.
parties?
Exactly.
At the bottle.
At the club.
The Latin King Christmas party, maybe?
At a company potluck. for
I-
Latin
Where
Kings.
are they meeting?
I love to say that there is a way to get this done without Catherine in the middle of it. But with her relationship, she has children with the victim. She had
Not with the victim, no, Catherine has children with
The defendant.
defendant.
defendant. And then
Wendy has children with the victim, which is Uncle Charlie. Okay, Uncle Charlie is the uncle.
We
to the
seriously
children.
need this graphic up with the
all
lines.
the time.
Right.
All the time. It's very confusing. So
I just don't think that all the parties could come together without her being in the middle. I can't
But
see
it
it.
doesn't
I'm
mean
sure
that she
there- I mean,
organized it.
Right.
All she's guilty of doing is
making an
being
introduction.
a great networker.
So these people meet somehow through her, and
Sure.
and you've got to argue that Adelson.
independently knew he was a
So the
hitman.
the defendants have to argue that Adelson somehow gets to meet Rivera because of his contact and getting into Catherine's world.
Last time I checked, there is no law against introducing two individuals and allowing them to go about their business and go on to commit other crimes.
All right, I have more for the law, ladies. We'll be right back. I'm going to get them. Don't worry.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. The Center for Medicare Services has officially authorized new benefits Medicare Advantage plans may include. Plans may now include private home aids and rides to medical appointments. Most plans also include dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage. To get the benefits you deserve, call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline, and they instantly advised me that I wasn't getting all the benefits I deserve. They explained I could get a plan that includes dental and prescription coverage, as well as the new coverage for private home aids and rides to medical appointments. If you want to find out what you deserve, call the number on your screen now. It's free. You'll be happy you called, I guarantee it.
Call to see if you can save money and get more benefits now. Don't delay. Call now. It's free. Call 1-800-497-5903. That's 1-800-497-5903 now.
Sarah, what's wrong?
Well, Dan and I don't have health insurance, and I'm really worried if something bad happens, we can go broke paying medical bills.
Well, have you tried calling the health advisor's toll-free line?
No, what's that?
anyone who's looking for health insurance or a better plan or a lower price can call.
Do you need health insurance for you or your family? Anyone who wants health insurance, or anyone who just needs a better plan or a lower price, even if you have pre-existing conditions, or no insurance at all, can now call the Health Advisor toll-free helpline. Don't worry if you've missed the deadline in the past. The Health Advisor toll-free helpline has been extended to help anyone who wants health insurance coverage now, or anyone who just needs a better plan or a lower price. Call 800-806-6217. The call is 100% free. But hurry, get covered before it's too late. Call 800-806-6217. 800-806-6217.
Attention! If you vape or if your child vapes, listen closely. The design of Juul products and the high potency of nicotine in the device may addict young adults for life. Vaping can lead to serious health problems, including nicotine addiction, respiratory issues, strokes, seizures, and more. You may be able to recover money if you or your child is addicted to vaping or suffers from severe health problems from using e-cigarettes. A single Juul pod may contain the same level of nicotine as an entire pack of cigarettes. The brains of young adults suffer the most from nicotine addiction because their developing brains are more susceptible to long-term harm. It's time to hold Juul and other vape companies accountable. Compensation may be available for those addicted to vaping or suffering from vape-related health problems.
Call Sokolov Law 1-800-617-8452 for a free legal consultation. 1-800-617-8452. 1-800-617-8452. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Have you written a book? A mystery, a romance novel, children's, or even a cookbook? Whatever book you just finished writing, you think it's pretty good, right? And your family and friends like it too. But what's next? You want to share your book with everyone, but lots of authors never get published. They get turned down by big business publishing houses and high-rise towers. So where do you go? Newman Springs Publishing is America's premier independent publishing house. We help publish your book and get it into bookstores everywhere. But we do more than that. We review your book first, then help you copyright, edit, and illustrate it. Because you're an author, not an artist. We also help you print, distribute, and sell your book to bookstores and major online book e-tailers. Call us now so we can send you your free publishing packet. Call Newman Springs Publishing and get your book published today.
Call for your free publisher's packet at 800-621-0925.
Did you have anything to do with the murder of Dan Markell?
No, ma'am.
Did you get the father of your children, Mr. Garcia, to commit a murder on behalf of Mr. Charlie Adelson?
No, ma'am.
Let's talk about demeanor. That's the denial right there, right? That's the ultimate denial by the defendant. But how about her demeanor? How did that appear? Did that seem...
Better than most.
Yeah.
Better than most.
Better than most guilty people or better than most innocent people?
Better than most testifying defendants, regardless of guilt or innocence,
Okay.
in my opinion.
At the end of the day, this is what juries want to see. They always want to see a defendant testify.
Absolutely.
They always want those questions answered. And so I think, like Holly said, she did better than most people that we've seen. She kind of kept it together. I mean, I've seen worse, I've seen better, but...
I think her demeanor was very consistent. She didn't get rattled. It's just the answers were consistently vague. To me, that was the biggest problem that I had, that, when you're talking about thousands of dollars and you don't have specific answers, and when you're talking about, well, what work were you doing, and it was kind of vague, that's where she lost me in terms of credibility. But when it comes to the money, let's talk about that, because that came up on cross-examination. Take a listen.
Why did he put you on the payroll? Is that as a favor?
Yes, ma'am.
Not as payment for a murder?
No, ma'am.
Not to keep you happy?
Why wouldn't he just pay me the cash? Why would I have to get a check from somewhere?
I'm going to ask the questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so it looks like her argument is, well, if I'm going to get paid off, just give me cash. Why are you paying me by check?
Look,
Why are you paying me by check for a hit?
The worst way to pay a hitman is to give them a check. You have a receipt. I mean, why wouldn't you just hand over a suitcase or a duffel bag full of cash?
So you think this helps? You think the check, the written, the paper trail of money that isn't cash helps her.
I think the paper trail helps her, absolutely.
I disagree.
I disagree.
Okay.
It's a blend. It's a mix. She's gotten some cash payments, the cash withdrawal, I mean, not withdrawals, but deposits that she can't necessarily explain, coupled with the being on payroll at the family company, essentially. And then I believe she got plastic surgery, too. I would argue this is all a combination.
Augmentation, I believe, is the more precise word.
Okay. Augmentation. I think all of it is in payment for.
All right. Her explanation for the augmentation was she didn't get that money from Adelson. She got that from being a bottle girl, and she saved up, and she got a cash discount for her augmentation because it was too expensive. But someone at the doctor's office said, "All right, pay us cash. You pay a little bit less."
I don't hate that. I don't hate that explanation. And to these 2 points, I don't necessarily hate if she's paid in cash or if she's paid in check. I think either one is easily explainable. What I didn't like that we just saw is her answering a question with a question. That is, we all know those tricks.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
how
we
you
are
buy a
trained
little-
to
buy a
know
little
that.
time.
Buy some time, let your brain catch up to what you're about to say. But my feelers go off immediately. If I ask you a question and you answer it with a question, I distrust that and I don't like it.
See, but Holly's a well-seasoned criminal defense attorney. Okay,
These are
I'm going
jurors.
to brag on her. These are jurors, and I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I think the defense attorney is going to get up and say, "What is reasonable? Is it reasonable to have paid somebody for a murder in checks to put them on
How about the
payroll?"
nature of the checks? That she's paid differently than everyone else who works at the institute, the Adelson Institute. You know, Mom Donna, right, is handwriting the checks to her.
Hey, you can spin it any way you want. Maybe something unsavory was going on, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was murder.
It's a strategy that I've definitely used in certain situations where you admit to something lesser because it was like anything but murder. So to that point, maybe it was something else. But as a juror, at a certain point, there's going to be too many circumstances to explain. And I think this is a situation where there is just too many circumstances to explain.
Yeah, I mean, and on those phone calls, there's talk of boats and the Lexus isn't working. My Lexus is not working. I got to get the Lexus. All right, I'll get the Lexus fixed. Oh, I got a boat. Maybe I'll give you the boat. You want a boat? I mean, how many things does an ex-boyfriend give you? I don't know. I've never had a boyfriend.
Well, if you've got an ex-boyfriend that you have incriminating pictures of, or maybe you're providing some of your bottle service girls for, I don't know, services other than bottle service, maybe you do put her on the payroll and pay her a little bit differently.
That's
if you're
what she
going
should
to
have
murder
admitted to.
somebody,
All
you
right.
don't do that.
We'll have more coming up in just a bit. And we've got a couple questions we're asking tonight. Like, number one, the victim's wife was given immunity. Why was she given immunity in her testimony? We'll look at her testimony and try to answer that question. Also, what happened today? Does this ruin the prosecution's case against the Adelsons? We'll figure that out also when we return. This is Court TV.
The network designed for true crime.
Not justice! No peace!
He had to shoot to defend himself.
Something was not right here.
What does the jury need to find the truth?
It's a very stressful situation.
We are bringing you gavel-to-gavel coverage.
You'll see and hear all the evidence.
We heard 911 calls.
I need help now!
The truth will always prevail.
This is Court TV.
Your front row seat
to justice.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll. Whether for yourself or someone you love, call the number on the screen now. Call now.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. The Center for Medicare Services has officially authorized new benefits Medicare Advantage plans may include. Plans may now include private home aids and rides to medical appointments. Most plans also include dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage. To get the benefits you deserve, call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline, and they instantly advised me that I wasn't getting all the benefits I deserve. They explained I could get a plan that includes dental and prescription coverage, as well as the new coverage for private home aids and rides to medical appointments. If you want to find out what you deserve, call the number on your screen now. It's free. You'll be happy you called, I guarantee it.
Call to see if you can save money and get more benefits now. Don't delay. Call now. It's free. Call 1-800-497-5903. That's 1-800-497-5903 now.
Best Fiends. Meet Hank and Roger, the not-so-dynamic duo. Join the adventure. Collect tons of cute characters and solve thousands of fun puzzles. Download free today. That's friends without the R. Best Fiends.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. See disclaimer for law firms.
Attention cancer victims who use the weed killer Roundup. A federal jury unanimously found that Monsanto's popular weed killer Roundup was a substantial factor in causing cancer. You may be entitled to financial compensation. If you or a loved one used Roundup weed killer and were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, call the number on your screen now. The World Health Organization has designated glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup weed killer, a probable human carcinogen. Thousands of agricultural workers may have been exposed to serious health risks by using this product. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Call now to find out if you qualify. If you or someone you loved used Roundup and were diagnosed with cancer, call the number on your screen now. Don't wait, there are time deadlines to file a claim.
1-800-568-4852.
My favorite thing about banking with Chime is getting my paycheck up to 2 days early, which is really cool because I walk into the office and I'm already boasting that I got paid. My name is Dulce and I love banking with Chime.
Get paid up to 2 days early. Chime.com.
From your husband's death, like financially?
No.
That is Wendy Adelson, and while we were still knee-deep in the Amber Geiger trial here, she testified in this case. In the beginning, prosecutors put her on the witness stand, one of their first witnesses, but they gave her limited immunity. Basically, she had to get up there, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, but nothing that she said could ever be used against her in a court of law. But she can still be prosecuted down the road if they get other evidence against her. Strange situation, folks, really strange. But anyway, because you missed that testimony, I'm going to show it to you tonight. Let's take a look.
Do you know much about your brother Charles Adelson's business practices?
I know that he does implant surgery.
Do you know anything about whether he offers discounts for cash or does a lot of business in cash?
I have no idea.
Do you know if there's a safe in your parents' house that has stacks of cash inside?
I don't know about a safe with stacks of cash.
So you don't have a stack of cash in your parents' safe that's Wendy's stack?
No.
Okay. Did Charlie Adelson like Dan Markel? And again, I'm referring to the time frame before his death.
I mean, I think he was also, he would listen to me when I would tell him about things I was upset about at the time with the divorce. So whether he liked him or didn't like him, he certainly was supportive of me.
Okay, but he never expressed any dislike?
No.
Did he mention hiring a hitman to kill your husband?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
No.
Did he ever joke about he looked into hiring a hitman, but buying you a TV as a divorce present would be cheaper?
He did make that joke. He tended to repeat himself, and sometimes he would make jokes that weren't very funny about all kinds of things.
All right, and was that TV, did he buy you a TV as a divorce present?
He did.
And was that TV the same TV that was being repaired at your residence at the time that your husband was murdered?
It was.
Who made the arrangements for that TV repair?
I did.
Your mom didn't make those arrangements?
I don't believe so.
And the repairman was at your house that morning that your husband died between 8:30 and 9:15. Do you agree with that?
I remember he was supposed to come between 8 and noon, and then he ended up coming on the early side.
That's when he arrived, between 8:30 and 9:15?
It's my best recollection.
Did Charlie ever say that he considered all possible options to take care of the problem being Dan Markel?
Objection, hearsay.
Oh.
Your Honor, I just have a standing objection, so I don't keep
You bet.
interrupting this one thing.
Did he ever say that?
No.
After the murder of Mr. Markel, did Charlie Adelson take you out for a celebration dinner?
No.
Do you recall any dinner shortly after Mr. Markel's death where you were with Mr. Charlie Adelson and vomited?
I do remember that dinner. I'm sorry?
Go ahead, I interrupted you.
After Danny died, I was terrified that someone was going to come after me or my children and harm us as well. And so I didn't leave my house for about a month. And when I finally felt ready to leave the house and have dinner, I told my brother that I wanted to have dinner, that I was ready to finally go to a restaurant and eat a meal again. And I'd barely eaten for a full month, just out of grief and shock. And so that night, when I finally ate for the first time, they ended up taking a while before they sat us, and they sat us at the bar, and I had a drink, and I wasn't used to eating anything or drinking alcohol, and I threw up at the table. The only time in my life I've done something like that, but it was certainly not a celebration.
And you never heard your brother refer to it in that way?
No.
Were you involved in any way in a plot to kill Dan Markel?
No.
Do you have any knowledge, other than the statements you said your brother made or the jokes your brother made, do you have any knowledge of anyone being involved in a plot to kill your husband?
No.
Fascinating testimony. Let's bring in the think tank. Ladies, what do we think?
I think we got a tangled web here, and I think Wendy's trying to come off like she's just an innocent victim in all this, when I think at the end of the day, we may find out that she's the spider actually pulling all the strings. It's absolutely ridiculous that she testified that her brother, she is going through a contentious divorce with her soon-to-be ex-husband, with a bitter custody battle over these kids, okay? And her brother doesn't know anything about it, or my brother was, was fine with him. And
He
it
was
no big
supportive.
deal. He was supportive. Ridiculous.
Here's the biggest problem that I have with her testifying and the state choosing to use this, right? Do you have any knowledge? Did you hire this to be done? And she says no. It's the state's witness. The state is asking the jury to find her credible. But yet, why do you have to offer immunity to someone who is A, telling the truth, and B, I'm bringing forward to you, the jury, as a credible, believable witness? Hugely problematic. It should have never happened. And going back to what we talked about before the break, the demeanor in a way that a witness testifies is huge. Juries always look at that. For me, I got the EBGBs. The hair on the back of my head stood up. I don't like her. I think she's dead behind the eyes. That, to me, if I'm Magbanua's attorney and Garcia's attorney, I am using that all through my closing.
And she's clearly coached. She anticipated objections.
Yes.
She stopped speaking before the objections were made and looked over.
But is a jury going to know that? That's something an attorney sees.
Yeah,
Right.
use my own argument against me. I know.
Exactly, turned it around. Why did she get immunity? Why?
I'm waiting for her to reveal some kind of information that is just the shoe that dropped, but I didn't really get that from the testimony that we've reviewed. But what I also find interesting about Wendy is she seems a little bit dead behind the eyes, yes, but I also think that her family could have put this hedge of protection around her to give her plausible deniability so that she can show up and say, no, I didn't know anything about a plan to kill my ex-husband, and I was distraught and I was devastated.
An innocent person who doesn't feel any guilt isn't throwing up at dinner in a public restaurant right after. I'm sorry.
Isn't it alarming or at least interesting that maybe she arranged for this TV repair person, maybe her mother arranged for this
She
TV
needed the
repair
alibi.
person
Right,
while during the exact time that her husband's being murdered.
Right. So is this effective for prosecutors to establish for this jury, because this jury's coming in not knowing anything, that there's something going on and there is an actual motive and there is a family. There are Adelsons out there, so at least one of them came into the courtroom. Does that help them?
I don't know that her testimony did anything good for the state.
No, it opened up the door for the defense to slam her as the point person. The state put up who the defense, who I believe they will say, that's who did this, and that's who should be responsible. That should be they should be here at the table.
Yeah.
But even though she's not the one who pulled the trigger and everybody has their different parts, party to a crime. Each individual person who is involved in this crime is equally culpable for the crime. So I don't think that the defense can just get up and point and say, hey, the Adelsons aren't here to get either Garcia or Magbanua off of these charges.
So it was an incredible moment in the courtroom, but I had a difficult time processing what it's going to do and how it's going to be used in closing arguments tomorrow by both sides. Her testimony, like I understand for prosecutors they need to tell that whole story, and it helped a lot in telling that story. I don't know how else they tell the story of the custody battle and everything else, right? They needed her for that. But at the same time, it's so obvious to this jury what is going on, like who's on trial and who isn't. And who isn't on trial are the people with all the money.
And she's not just a regular witness. She's not someone who got a subpoena and was told, you better be here and you better tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. She's a witness who's sworn to tell the truth with immunity for the truth.
Right.
So that puts her, for me at least, in a very different category than any other state's witness that they bring to try and piece this full, complete story together. I think it's bad for the state. I think it's a misstep.
It's a misstep. So how else could they have proven what the real motive behind all this is?
You don't offer immunity and you try all of them together. That's how you do it. One big swoop. That's how you do it and see what sticks, what a jury buys, what they believe beyond a reasonable doubt.
And here's the thing. Now a jury's going to be looking at this and they're going to say, okay, well, there's that rich lady who had all the motive in the world to have this guy dead, and instead it's the bottle service girl who may have done some favors for the brother that's on trial?
Right.
I'm sorry. It's not good optics.
Is that an actual defense, or is that more of a nullification defense where the jury doesn't like the way prosecutors are doing
It's
this?
certainly a nullification defense, but at the end of the day, juries are run by their emotions, and they can come back and find a way to legally justify that visceral reaction that they're having while they're sitting there watching the trial.
What do you think happens to Wendy Adelson at the end of the day? Do you think she... Obviously, she's on the radar. Obviously, they want to investigate. But do you think she could potentially be charged?
No, not at all. The only way that they possibly could have done that is without immunity given to her, make her come, like every other witness that doesn't want to come testify, with a subpoena, with the power of a subpoena, they can make her come and testify. But without Magbanua connecting the dots, because now they can't use her in any way. She's testified in her own defense at her own murder trial. She is not going to be a credible witness to use to bring a complete story for the prosecution of Wendy. It's just not possible anymore. They've lost that chance, in my opinion.
I don't see Wendy getting charged in this case, but I definitely see prosecutors going back after other members of the Adelson family. It seems like they are trying to build this case against mom, Donna, and the brother Charlie, and so Wendy may not be someone who they can prosecute, and I think they came to terms with that by offering her the immunity, but they're going after the big fish, which is Donna and Charlie.
Wendy's going to be convicted in the court of public opinion like she is right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, she hasn't been charged with anything. She's never been charged. She's not facing trial. Nothing has happened. And again, the Adelson family has come out and said the reason we haven't been charged is because we haven't done anything wrong. And that's been their defense from the start here. Have you ever seen a situation like this in your careers where you've got someone in that strange position of being involved but not involved, but being a state witness but not being really sympathetic to the state cause? And it's really, this is mixed up. I don't understand how a jury can follow all of this. It's not clean.
I mean,
nothing is clean in this case.
Vinnie, we know it's not clean just by the fact that we have to put up the graphic on the screen, every 10 seconds for even the attorneys to follow it, and remember who's involved, how.
And it's a similar graphic that they actually have in the courtroom, and that's what it's kind of based upon.
Good.
And prosecutors are using this circle as well. All right. Another question we have tonight, and this is a significant one, and it involves this relationship between Katie and Charlie and Katie. Everyone's talking about Charlie. We hear Charlie throughout this trial, but he's not on trial. But did what happened today destroy the opportunity to prosecute any of the Adelsons? We'll try to answer that when we come back.
The Real. Iconic luxury items from Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Gucci, Rolex, and hundreds more at up to 90% off retail. All authenticated by our experts. Real luxury, unreal value. Only at The Real. Shop now and get 20% off on select items with the code REAL.
We got one of those new purple mattresses, and it is amazing. You have to try it.
You didn't need to...
Shh. Just lie down.
Oh, this doesn't feel like memory foam.
No.
This feels amazing.
Right?
What is it?
Actually, it's called Purple, and it's nothing like memory foam. It's a totally unique gel grid technology, meticulously designed to cradle and support the human body. It sleeps cool, it's motion isolating, and honestly, I love it more than 2 of my 3 children.
Cool.
We loved our Purple so much, we got one for the guest bedroom. That way, when my in-laws come, they can stay in my bed and I can come.
Okay, feel that? Adapts instantly.
Honey!
Oh, hey, honey. Yeah, so just showing the guys the new purple mattress.
For a limited time, choose a free Purple product with mattress purchase at purple.com/TV.
Attention! If you vape or if your child vapes, listen closely. The design of Juul products and the high potency of nicotine in the device may addict young adults for life. Vaping can lead to serious health problems, including nicotine addiction, respiratory issues, strokes, seizures, and more. You may be able to recover money if you or your child is addicted to vaping or suffers from severe health problems from using e-cigarettes. A single Juul pod may contain the same level of nicotine as an entire pack of cigarettes. The brains of young adults suffer the most from nicotine addiction because their developing brains are more susceptible to long-term harm. It's time to hold Juul and other vape companies accountable. Compensation may be available for those addicted to vaping or suffering from vape-related health problems.
Call Sokolov Law 1-800-617-8452 for a free legal consultation. 1-800-617-8452. 1-800-617-8452. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll. Whether for yourself or someone you love, call the number on the screen now. Call now.
Charlie Adelson's phone? Charlie Adelson. Charlie Adelson.
Charlie. Did Charlie Adelson like Dan Markel?
Charles Adelson, has he ever been arrested in relation to the murder of Dan Markel?
No.
Charlie. We've been hearing so much about Charlie, and it's not just us. It's the jurors have heard about this ghost of a figure, Charlie Adelson, who will never make his way inside that courtroom, has not been charged, has professed his innocence, but the prosecution has been pointing the finger at him the whole time. But he's not in the courtroom. And then on the stand today, you have the testimony of the Magbanua, who is testifying about Charlie this, Charlie that. Take a listen.
Did you ever consider yourselves boyfriend and girlfriend?
I mean, we never put that, that label, like boyfriend, girlfriend, but yeah, I guess. I mean, we were hanging out a lot.
And when you guys would talk to each other, you'd call each other baby.
Yeah.
Would you say things like, if you end a conversation, you'd say, I love you?
Yeah.
But in terms of it being a serious relationship, were you ever looking for him to move in with you?
No.
Was there ever any discussion about that?
No.
Was there any discussion ever about marriage?
No.
Why were you asking Charlie Adelson to help you with employment? Explain to the jury.
The primary reason of why?
Yes.
I needed insurance for my children.
Did you not work for Charlie Adelson at all?
No, I worked for him.
All right. Did you work at the Adelson Institute?
No, ma'am.
Describe for the jury what you did for Charlie Adelson.
Well, basically, since he was doing me this favor, I was kind of like his assistant.
How long have you wanted to have breast augmentation?
For as long as I can remember, since high school, probably.
Who referred you to Dr. Raudner?
Referred me? Well, I asked a couple people, but I believe Charlie gave me the information for Dr. Rudner.
And did you ask to borrow the Lexus, or did Charlie Adelson offer for you to borrow the Lexus?
No, I asked him.
You asked him to borrow it?
I believe so.
Okay. And let's talk about this vehicle, okay? Was it well kept?
Yes.
Clean?
Yes.
And, but it had a lot of miles on it?
Yes.
All right. Did you pay for it around the time that you changed the registration, or you paid for it at a different time?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you know how you paid for it?
Yes.
How did you pay for it?
Cash.
Okay. Is the amount that's reflected on the DMV registration, is that an accurate amount that you paid for it?
Yes.
So you did pay $1,700 for it?
Yes.
It was below value?
Yes.
This is the first time that he has informed you that someone approached his mother on the street. Okay? You remember that, right?
Yes.
Did you hear yourself on the recording when you said what?
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe to the jury why you answered him that way?
Yeah, I was confused.
Did you have any idea or know what was going on?
No.
Okay. And Mr. Adelson told you that someone walked up to his mom and referenced an ex-girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Didn't Mr. Adelson explain to you why he was calling you?
Did he explain to me why he was calling
on that call?
me?
Like, did he say to you, you're my last ex-girlfriend, this is the reason I'm calling you?
Yeah.
What was your concern at this point in terms of what Charlie Adelson was telling you? Did you have any concern that someone was saying your name?
Yeah, like why are they mentioning my name?
But at this point, you don't even know if it's really you.
Yes, because he said ex-girlfriend.
Did he mention anything to you about a homicide out of Tallahassee?
No, ma'am.
Did he mention anything about his ex-brother-in-law being murdered?
No, ma'am.
He kept that from you?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he ask you to do anything for him?
He asked if I can call that number.
Did you ever call that number?
Did I ever call it? No.
Did you tell Charlie you were going to do it?
Yes.
You lied to him?
Yes.
You'll agree with me that Mr. Adelson knew who my client was, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's evidenced by the fact that there's been a text message correspondence that your own attorneys have shown where you ask Mr. Adelson if my client is called, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you did this because you were concerned about my client maybe hurting Charlie Adelson.
Yes, sir.
You've known Sigfredo over a decade?
Yes.
Talked to him a lot?
Yes, sir.
Did Sigfredo Garcia ever do anything to help Charlie Adelson?
Never.
Did Mr. Adelson ever do illicit drugs in front of you?
Did Mr. Adelson?
Correct.
Yes.
Did you know if Charlie Adelson took steroids?
I wasn't aware, but
Did you have any suspicions?
yes.
There are televisions in jail, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were privy to several news reports on this case, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were aware that the government's position was that you saw a news report where they said that you hold the key to your own freedom. Remember
Yes,
that?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What did that mean to you?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
That it's up to me to get out of jail.
Okay, and how would you do that?
If I gave up Charlie.
Do you have information that Charlie Adelson was involved in this?
Do I have information? I mean, based on everything that we've been seeing, but I don't have personal information.
Based on everything you've seen, do you think Charlie was involved in this?
Yes.
Do you think Charlie was lying to you?
Yes.
Okay.
What? It's like both sides of your mouth, right? Testifying. Charlie was involved, but I know nothing about it, and there's nothing I could say. But if I said something, I could get out of jail right now. Here's the question, though. I mean, was this a mistake, this entire trial, a mistake by prosecutors to not make Charlie Adelson part of it? And based upon what happened today with the testimony of the woman in the middle of all of it, did this, in effect, destroy any chance that the prosecution has of someday trying to prosecute Charlie Adelson or any member of the Adelson family?
I think it certainly diminished any chance that they would have had and any sort of momentum they would have gotten by lumping everyone together.
To be honest, even if Charlie was here today, based on her testimony that we just listened to, she says that I don't have any information he's involved, but maybe he's involved.
Actually,
So
she
there's a
said,
possibility.
based on everything we've seen,
Seems it,
almost
right.
as if saying, you idiot, it's so obvious based on what you're doing in court right now.
We'll never see anyone from this family prosecuted for this. I don't
The
believe.
Adelson family?
No, it's not going to happen. One of the things that she said just now that I found that was very problematic was, yeah, we say I love you. Yes, I talk to him, obviously we know through the phone records very frequently. And he didn't tell you that Daniel Markle was murdered? If I'm that close and I have that type of relationship with someone that I'm an ex with, which doesn't really happen often, but in this case it does, if something so devastating and shocking happens to my family, and now I have someone murdered, I didn't tell you that?
On the flip side, I mean, even on the happy side, that he's happy that Daniel Markle is out of the picture. He still didn't
Either
mention
way,
it.
she didn't
Either
know.
way.
He didn't say it to her at all. And
Yeah.
that, to me, that raised a lot of question, because obviously, if you're telling someone I love you, and they're talking that much, and you're borrowing cars and money and getting referrals for breast augmentation, this is also something huge that happened. Win, lose, or draw, happy or sad, it's something you're going to say to someone who's that close to you.
So what exactly is the nature of their relationship? What does the jury, take into that jury room and say, all right, this is what this relationship was all about?
I mean, I think
Charlie and Katie.
I think it comes out looking like, she's just a girl that he's keeping happy with money in exchange for feminine favors. I think that's at the end of the day.
It's
what the
that
jury
simple.
is. Sex sells. I'm sorry. It does.
I don't even really know what to make of this relationship, other than that she's the one who provided the service that he was ultimately looking for, which was to take out Daniel Markle.
All right. Closing arguments tomorrow morning, folks. You'll see them right here on Court TV. When we come back, tomorrow, a huge day in court for another trial that we covered here. Michael Draca. Remember Michael Draca? He was the one who got in that fight over the handicapped parking spot. Well, he's being sentenced tomorrow. We'll have a preview of that when we return.
Welcome to Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice. And we're doing what we do best and diving straight into our trial.
You have to look at everything in this case.
He murdered our daughter. Did you take the hose and squeeze it?
Guilty on all counts.
This is true crime all the time.
And you're not gonna miss a moment of it. That was really eye-opening.
This is what I love to do.
If something happened to you, what would happen to them? Their home, their education, their future. You need life insurance, and chances are SelectQuote can help you get it for less than $1 a day. That's right. Chances are SelectQuote can help you get the insurance your family needs for less than $1 a day.
SelectQuote found Jacob 40, a $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Already have a policy? You're probably paying too much.
Joanne was paying $218 a month for a universal life policy. We found her a 30-year term policy for only $73 a month, a savings of $145 a month.
Our secret? At SelectQuote, we aggressively comparison shop up to 10 highly rated companies, including American General, Prudential, Protective, Mutual of Omaha, and others, to find you the company with the best rates. Why pay more? Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
Call 1-800-736-9735 or go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford. At SelectQuote, we've helped millions of Americans get the insurance they need, often for less than $1 a day. We do it by aggressively shopping up to 10 highly rated companies like these to find you the best policy at the lowest possible rate. Need even more coverage? SelectQuote can help.
We found Gary, 35, a $1 million policy for only $22 a month.
If you have loved ones who depend on your income, you need life insurance. Why pay more? Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
Call 1-800-736-9735 or go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford.
That number again is 1-800-736-9735.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. See disclaimer for law firms. Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. If you or a loved one used talcum powder for routine feminine hygiene and later suffered from ovarian cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. The use of talc-based powders has been linked to ovarian cancer, and many large manufacturers of talc-based products fail to properly warn women that the use of talcum powder could lead to ovarian cancer. If you were diagnosed with ovarian cancer, or if a loved one even died from ovarian cancer, talcum powder may be to blame. Call right now. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Call Nightline Legal to speak with an experienced attorney to determine if you may qualify. If we don't win, there is no fee. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call right now.
1-800-510-2403. Again, that's 1-800-510-2403.
All right, tomorrow morning is the sentencing of Michael Draka. This is the man who was in the parking lot of the convenience store down in Florida, saw someone in the handicapped spot, went over to question him, and then is confronted by the driver's boyfriend, who comes over and shoves him. He pulls out his gun, shoots and kills Marquise McLaughlin. Well, he's going to be sentenced tomorrow for manslaughter. For those of you who don't remember the case and exactly what happened, take a look.
What type of machine do you use to record from those cameras?
I got a DVR.
And as far as you know, was it operational on July 19th?
Yes. Anybody, if he's not a handicap, then he's looking for a handicap, looking at the handicap sign, he's got to be noisy because he doesn't need it. But that day I felt he's noisy. Yeah. I told him, when he went inside to get a drink, he came back. I told him it's not worth it to start fighting for a stupid reason, things like that.
What did he tell you?
He told me I can't help it. I always get myself in trouble for that.
He's not parked there. He's parked not even in the spot.
When you were there, did you see someone
park their car and approach you?
Yes. He started walking around the car. He started from the driver's side, started from the back, started from the passenger side, and stopped at the front. He started pointing at me. He told me that you're parked in the handicap spot. I said, yes, I am aware. When my family returns to the car, I will leave. He kept going. He says, people that park here, I give problems to all the time. He was more angry and aggressive. He was yelling and pointing and telling me where I should park. I just wanted this man to just leave me alone, just leave me and my babies alone. He just kept arguing with me.
Once I got out of the car, the window was down. I noticed there was a black woman in the car, and that's when I was more curious to what was going on. Because he was shouting very loud, and I could tell he was very upset.
He was authoritative, kind of, he's argumentative.
When I opened the door, I told the clerk that there's an altercation outside. You might want to get involved. He just put his things on the counter, and then I saw him walk out of the store, still screaming match. I heard her say, wait till my man comes, he's gonna handle it. The car was behind him, so no, he couldn't go any further back where he was. I took steps to my right and got between two parked cars.
Yeah, he had hold his side and he went towards the store. I ran around the other side, of the passenger side. I wind the window up, made sure the kids were safe. I locked the door and I ran in after Marquise.
I heard Brittany yelling, help me, help me, help us. Can someone help us? I saw the victim on the ground bleeding and he looked like he was dying.
People were pulling up to the store, so he was actually telling them not to come in because he had just shot somebody. And then he was also muttering things to himself, you shouldn't have pushed me down, what you think was gonna happen, not full sentences, just phrases really.
Tomorrow morning is the sentencing for Michael Draka, and he was convicted of manslaughter and is facing up to 30 years in prison. So one of the things I want to do tonight, which we do on the program, is take a look at our system of justice, right? What is justice? Well, justice is all relative, right? What justice in one case compared to another case and behaviors. And we're taking a look at this sentencing in light of what just happened last week, which was the conviction and sentencing of Amber Geiger. Now, Amber Geiger was convicted of murder, but sentenced to 10 years in prison. So one question I have tonight, and it was posted on social media, and we'll get your reaction to that in just a moment, is how does this case compare to that case? That behavior to this behavior? Where should it be in the scales of justice? Which one is worse than the other? Which one should be punished more in our system? So let's bring back in our guests, Ashley McMahon, Jasmine Barber, and Holly Waltman, the law ladies, who all practice together. I'm not just calling you law ladies because you're lawyers who are ladies, but that's your practice. Which behavior is worse? Which should be punished more severely in our society by our system?
Well, let's not forget that in the Draka case, okay, I mean, the Geiger case is fresh on our mind, okay? Amber Geiger certainly walked into somebody else's house, made a mistake, and unlawfully killed somebody without justification, okay? She got 10 years. But she wasn't in the habit of breaking into people's apartments and harassing them and threatening to shoot them. Michael Draka was. He would regularly go to that same exact gas station and go and start fights with people and threaten to shoot them on a regular basis. This is a guy who knew just enough about the law to try and protect himself. He was looking for a fight, and eventually he got one, and he killed the wrong person. He killed an innocent human being. And I think at the end of the day, if we're going to be fair about it, which, we know our justice system isn't
always fair.
He deserves far more time than Amber Geiger got.
Agree, disagree?
Go ahead. What's interesting about the Amber Geiger case, which was kind of shocking to me, is that the jury decided her sentence. Michael Draka is going to get sentenced by a judge. And I say this to my clients all the time, getting a charge in one county versus another, even if they are in the same state and they back up to each other and they have borders that touch, you get treated very, very differently.
Absolutely.
And so now we have Texas versus Florida. If you're going to nail me down to which one is worse, Michael Draca is worse. Which one feels worse? Amber Geiger, because there was all of the other additional stuff. The race card was very prominent and very, very much in the headlines. The fact that she was a police officer and what we currently have going on in our country with police officers and unarmed black men. That one to me feels worse, but if you go down to the bare bones of what was happening in each defendant's mind at the time that they committed and took someone else's life unlawfully, Michael Draca gets way more than 10 years in my mind.
They leave me much little more to say. I agree with both Ashley and Holly. I think that Michael Draca deserves more time than Amber Geiger. As horrific as her behavior was in that case, the mistake that she made, Michael Draca was out. He was looking for a fight. This was a habit. They are going to present this aggravating evidence in his sentencing hearing, and I think the result will be more time than what we saw in the Amber Geiger case.
Huge reaction on social media to our post on this exact issue. Eileen writing, I believe he should get the maximum. He was looking for trouble as he had been numerous times before. Exactly what the law ladies are saying tonight. You can't compare these cases. They're very different. Indeed, they are different. Amber, however, does need to be thanking her lucky stars for her verdict. One other difference between the two cases are the actions of the victims. Right? In the Draca case, the victim does initiate the physical confrontation with the shove. Both of them, John, did nothing. He's eating ice cream. So, when I look at the cases there, the victims are acting differently too.
One similarity that I do see between the two cases is the defense trying to afford themselves some kind of justification. In Florida, I'm sure he's going to say, stand your ground. I was defending myself. I was pushed down. Amber Geiger, she's saying she thought she was in her own house and she was protecting her own home. So I do see that one similarity between the two cases.
Stephanie writing, I think he should get more than 10 years. He was clearly trying to be the parking lot cop, and he watched and waited for people to park there so he could go pick a fight. I believe he had the intent to kill someone over that spot. I'd give him 30 years or more. Lisa, though, says he should get less. I still think he was defending himself. His attacker was high on MDA. We don't know that for sure because you can't determine that, but there was that in his system. I think he would have been beaten to a bloody pulp if he wasn't stopped. No one has a right to beat you just because you point out the fact they are parking inappropriately, just my opinion. And Lisa, that's what we asked for, is your opinion, because it's important. Because it's our system of justice. It's your system of justice in figuring out what behavior should be punished more than other, what is worse than other. But she's thinking less than 10 years because of the actions of the victim.
I understand Lisa's opinion on this, because it is totally different. You have one victim that's sitting there eating a bowl of ice cream, possibly the most innocent thing you can be doing on your own couch in your own home. And then you've got another victim who could have been perceived as the aggressor at some point during that altercation. So I do understand Lisa's opinion on this. However, from a legal standpoint, I'm just saying this, where there's fire, there's smoke, or where there's smoke, there's fire. And Draca was going out seeking this behavior. He was looking for this type of reaction.
And you're going, and I think you're focusing more on the mind of the defendant rather than the nature of the victims in the case, which is interesting. Susan writes, he deserves more time. He lied and claimed his victim was still coming towards him. And that was huge because in his in the statement that we saw when he's being interrogated, he said, he's coming towards me, he's coming towards me. But in the video, he's going backwards, which was clear. He was not a threat at that moment. Kim also saying more. And this is what I want to ask you about looking ahead to tomorrow. Amber showed remorse. Draca did not. It was clear that Draca did not.
It would have been fatal to Draca's defense if he had showed remorse.
All right, but tomorrow's the sentencing.
Yeah.
Is that the time to show remorse?
Absolutely. After you've been convicted is definitely the time to pull out all of the tears, all of the remorse.
Does he apologize? How do you word it? Because I'm sure he wants to. I mean, every convicted criminal defendant is holding on for the hope of the appeal, right? They all say, the appeal, the appeal. Me as a prosecutor, I love when they're talking about appeals because that means they're convicted.
Right.
And you know what you win when you win an appeal? You just get another trial. So I'll convict you again. Anyhow.
I think he has to.
What can he say? What can he say? How can he show remorse and still protect his right to this appeal?
I think he pulls, I'm not going to call it an Amber Geiger card, but say it was a mistake. Say I feared for my life. I recognize now, after totality of the circumstances, looking at the video, I recognize now that it was a mistake, and I am deeply sorry for that mistake.
Even if he comes in and says that and is tearful and people are moved by his testimony, there's a huge piece that's missing. The victim's family, the victim's younger brother did not come into the Michael Drake case and say, I want what's best for you, I forgive you, and I don't want to see you rot and die in jail. He said that to a jury that was in charge of sentencing her. You don't have that here. You have a judge sentencing him. That judge is going to use continuity and their experience on the bench to know what it is a manslaughter conviction goes for in Florida, and namely in this county. And he's going to get more, I think, even if he comes in and tries to save himself in the bottom of the ninth.
I don't disagree, especially with the aggravating circumstances, him being this parking lot vigilante. Ultimately, I think.
And what's also interesting here, let's not forget though, her charge was murder. His is manslaughter. Like usually in the pecking order of things, manslaughter, a murder's up here, manslaughter's down here. But it looks like in these cases, and obviously it's different states, different laws, we understand that.
Wild West in Texas, though.
But he's facing a maximum of 30, she was facing a maximum of life.
99, right?
So yeah, absolutely. Here's what Russo is saying. In my opinion, if that man rushed him and body checked him to the ground, it was self-defense, and the stand your ground law should apply here. There are so many differences in the case as opposed to the Amber case. Really no comparison. And again, we'll stress different states, different jurisdictions. Jury is doing it in Texas. A judge is doing it in Florida. But I just want to take a step back and say, what should it be? Not what will it be?
Well, and also we should remember that in the Drake case, you know, I don't even think the defense was arguing the stand your ground law. You know?
No, it's straight self-defense. It was straight self-defense at the moment.
So
what he's like. So what should it be? What's a fair sentence?
Remind me how old Michael Drake is?
Michael Drake is in his 40s.
40s?
Yeah.
At least 25.
Yeah.
Give
And
him
that's
a little
gonna
bit of hope that he's not
that's
going to
going
die
to be
there.
a life sentence for him in prison in Florida.
It will be. All right. We've got another one to talk about. We've got our social media reaction to this, but there's another trial happening tomorrow. Okay? It's a really fast trial, but it involves Cuba Gooding Jr. That's right. He is set to be in court in New York tomorrow, facing sexual abuse charges. But guess what? The whole thing was caught on video. And guess who has the video tonight? We do. That's next.
If you have Medicare, listen up. The Medicare enrollment deadline is only weeks away.
With so many changes, do you know if your plan is still the right fit? Having the wrong plan may cost you thousands of dollars out of pocket.
And that's why I love Health Markets, your insurance marketplace.
With their new Fit Score, they compare thousands of plans from national insurance companies to find the right Medicare plan that fits you. Call or visit Health Markets to find your Fit Score today. In minutes, you can find out if your current plan is the right fit, or if there's another one that can get you extra coverage or help save you money. Best of all, their service is completely free. Does your plan have $0 copays, $0 deductibles, and $0 premiums? If not, maybe it's not the right fit. Does it include dental and vision coverage? Well, if not, maybe it's not the right fit. How about hearing aids, glasses, and gym memberships at no additional cost? Maybe there's a better fit for you. Call Health Markets now or visit healthmarkets.com for your free Fit Score. We can instantly compare thousands of Medicare plans with all of these benefits and more, including plans that may let you keep your doctor and save money. With the annual Medicare enrollment deadline coming, don't waste another minute not knowing if you have the right Medicare fit. For this free service, go to healthmarkets.com or call right now.
Having helped enroll people in millions of policies with an A+ customer satisfaction rating, you can trust Health Markets.
Don't assume that your plan is still the right fit. The Health Markets Fit Score makes it easy to find the right Medicare plan for you.
Health Markets doesn't just work for one insurance company. They work to help you, and they do it all for free.
Your insurance marketplace, Health Markets.
There may be Medicare benefits and savings you're missing out on. Only Health Markets has the free Fit Score. Call 800-290-6422 before the deadline. That's 800-290-6422.
Best Fiends.
Meet Bandit, the not-so-sneaky slug. Join the adventure. Collect tons of cute characters and solve thousands of fun puzzles. Download free today. That's friends without the R. Best Fiends.
I have a car, but whenever I'm ready to buy car insurance, something comes up, like my little girl's birthday.
Need car insurance? Get covered for as little as $20 down with Good to Go. Get a free rate quote in under a minute. Visit goodtogo.com. It's fast, cheap, and easy.
Attention! If you vape or if your child vapes, listen closely. The design of Juul products and the high potency of nicotine in the device may addict young adults for life. Vaping can lead to serious health problems, including nicotine addiction, respiratory issues, strokes, seizures, and more. You may be able to recover money if you or your child is addicted to vaping or suffers from severe health problems from using e-cigarettes. A single Juul pod may contain the same level of nicotine as an entire pack of cigarettes. The brains of young adults suffer the most from nicotine addiction because their developing brains are more susceptible to long-term harm. It's time to hold Juul and other vape companies accountable. Compensation may be available for those addicted to vaping or suffering from vape-related health problems.
Call Sokolov Law 1-800-617-8452 for a free legal consultation. 1-800-617-8452. 1-800-617-8452. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Remain unseen. Ambush the enemy. Be ruthless. Visit worldofwarships.com and play for free.
Cuba Gooding Jr. facing criminal charges for allegedly touching a woman's breast at a bar in New York. The trial was supposed to begin back in September, but the judge gave the prosecution more time for some evidence they were waiting for, and the trial is now slated for tomorrow. The accuser, 29 years old, claims that Cuba Gooding Jr. was intoxicated at the time. The official charges are forcible touching and sexual abuse. Gooding and his defense team have denied the allegations based upon their own review of the evidence. And one of the key pieces of evidence in this case is surveillance video from the bar of the entire incident. So I've got the law lady still with me here. Let's take a look at the video together. As we begin, let's roll the tape. And there we go. Cuba Gooding Jr. is with the vest and the white shirt. And Claudine is sitting next to him. That is his girlfriend, we believe. And there's the accuser now showing up. And again, Cuba Gooding Jr. has his girlfriend between, and there's a touch. Is that a touch of the thigh?
It looks like a thigh to me.
Okay, so let's keep our eye on the right hand of Cuba Gooding Jr. There's going to be some more people in the way here. And is that the moment? Or is he grabbing her hand and kissing her hand? What exactly happened there? Now another person comes in here who I think wants a selfie with Cuba Gooding Jr. and is shaking hands and friendly. So did we just see a sexual assault? What are you seeing here, folks?
What I first saw was, and I've been at this bar, Vinny. I've been in here. It's very dark in this bar, but I saw her come up and initiate the conversation with him before he leans in to talk to her. I don't know. I mean, I think I do see him touching her thigh and perhaps her breast or her chest.
Or was it her hand? That's what I don't. That's what I couldn't tell if it was the hand. But afterwards, it looks like she's still there.
Yeah, she just leaned in for kissing him. She just leaned in to kiss him.
No, that's the girlfriend.
That's the girlfriend. The accuser is still the third person, is where the blur is in the screen. So, all right, this is the evidence. Prosecutors are going to present this as evidence, I presume.
It just doesn't seem like enough to me, Vinny. I mean, like, we've got what looks like a gentle, maybe quick touch on the thigh, or maybe even on her hand that's resting on her thigh upon introduction. And then it looks like he reaches over and maybe even, like, touched her hand again, but there's nothing clear.
We've got a close-up now. Let's zoom in at the moment. And again, there you see. All right, so here's a closer shot. Let's keep our hand on Cuba Gooding's right hand.
That's definitely.
And let's keep our eye on the left hand of the accuser. Left hand now is by the hair. And now her hand. And here's the moment. Grainy, of course, there's a head in the way. What are we seeing?
I kind of think
It
she
looks-
put his hand on her chest.
And I also kind of see the girlfriend maybe leaning in and touching her boyfriend's hand on top of the third woman's chest.
Yes, it looks to me like he went for her hand, and someone being intoxicated could have easily missed that and accidentally brushed her breast.
Let's take a look one more time. The moment is coming up. And here's slow motion. So is this case going to come down to this videotape or the testimony of the accuser? And does Cuba Gooding Jr. have to testify?
If it comes down to just this videotape, then they're not prosecution.
So she has to she's going to have to testify as well.
She's going to need to testify.
So presumably she'll say he groped me. So does he then have to get up on the stand, or can he rely upon perhaps the testimony of the girlfriend who was in the middle?
I think he'd be better off not testifying at all. Keep your mouth shut. I mean, if I'm the defense attorney, I'm going up. And how much did you have to drink that night? Right. I mean, how reliable is your
It is Cuba Gooding Jr., right? And there's a history of celebrities doing well at trial. You think jurors may like him more and believe him more if he testifies, or will they like him whether he testifies or doesn't? He just flashes that $1 million smile.
Well, unless they see him as O.J. Simpson, as Jasmine was saying during the break, they channel that.
I think that he could do without testifying, and I think the video is very grainy, but I think that a good defense attorney could make a lot of arguments off of this video. My first instinct is just the fact that it looks like he takes her hand and he kisses it after he has allegedly touched you in a way that you didn't like. Why did you not rip your hand away from him at that moment? Why? So
the fourth person comes into the video and comes in for the selfie or the, hey, I'm a huge fan. She's still sitting there trying to be part of this group.
Right. Now, I did see a crime in that video, and it was the third guy that came up that started dancing.
Yeah, that was bad.
With the big head.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, so that trial is tomorrow. There's another trial that is starting tomorrow here on Court TV. The next big case, Florida versus Jimmy Rogers. Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter in Fort Myers with a preview.